The next insight I would like to show you would be more of a financial insight. So in the agency, when you're managing a project, the key question you need to answer for yourself is, how much budget have I consumed? And this is probably something that you're talking about every single day. And in a lot of the reports, you can see exactly how much budget you've consumed, but you don't know where it's leaking, right? You don't know in a granular form of view how much of that budget you've consumed on which specific role, discipline, or service. So that's an information that you can find out from two data sources. Let me just explain you the difference. So to know how much budget you've consumed, you can find out from the budgets inside, but there you will see a total of budget consumed for that budget. I'm saying the word budget a lot in this sentence. In the services, however, you would see a total of budget consumed, but in a granular view with the breakdown for every single service. So that's the one that we're going to use now. Okay, here we have the services inside, which I'm going to group by budget. And I want to see how much budget we've consumed. So I'm going to, play with the fields here. Okay, and we're going to add budget total, budget remaining, and a margin. Margin is something that you can always format into a number if you don't like the linear chart view, which I don't like, for example. So here you will see an aggregation for the whole budget. For example, here you have 22K remaining and a 67% of a margin. And you can see it broken down by service. So we have 54% on content production, the profit margin, right? And here in project management, I've used 5K out of 7K. And you can see, where it's leaking basically. You can add time information here as well. So if you type in time, you'll have different types of time information. Or you can add money information, budget remaining, budget used, etc. Now, a lot of you are already tracking how much you've consumed so far, how much you have remaining. This project looks fine. I have 22K remaining, and I have an overrun on just one service basically, and it's not a big of a deal. I'm not losing money anywhere except from SEO. No, sorry, that's not a negative, that's a positive. So this looks fine, but as agency people, you need to be prepared for the future because things are very dynamic. So what I would suggest is to add a financial projection of the future to this report as well. So if you're using scheduling to plan work for the future, you can already project if you're going to have a budget overrun or how much profit you're going to make. So I will add two fields here. One of it is percentage of budget you're going to use. Okay. So I will turn this into a number or radial chart, right? So we can see here how much budget you're going to use. For example, here you're going to have an overrun because you're going to spend 146% of the budget instead of, maximum 100. And here on the development budget, you're going to use 196%. You can exactly see where it's going to leak, right? And to see it in an easier way, you can format this and you can say, I have a limit. We can use up to 100% of the budget. Colorize where we go over, right? So here I can see that we'll go over the budget, and it's going to happen on content production, and it's going to happen on project management, and it's going to happen on SEO. Okay. I can actually create a custom formula to see how much exactly I'm going to go over, right? So budget over or overage would be total budget for that service, or sorry, forecasted budget, how much I'm going to use, minus the budget total that was assigned for that service. Let's see if there's an overage. Okay, and we're seeing now exactly how much overage do we have. So this 411%, how much over is that? It's 13K over. Okay, this is 30K over. This is 1,000 over. Okay, so it's good to mix percentages with numbers in dollars to get a broader perspective. 100% might mean a lot or a little, depending on how much money we're talking about. What you can also add here is forecasted margin. So you can see what would be the end profit on that service. So this is something that is now profitable, doesn't have an overrun, but what we've planned in the future is going to be negative. So for sure, you would need to do something about this now. You can go in a granular view to see where exactly it's going to leak. There are some services that seem profitable, like for example, website redesign, or WordPress implementation. So you can play with the hours there and switch from one service to another to prevent that potential leaking. You have now information and time, you can definitely do something about it. If you don't want to look at this in a very granular view, you can just click on totals and then see on which budgets you're going to have overruns. And if you're interested in more, you would unclick the totals to see that in more details. So here I have an overrun. Let's check why. Also, you have a lot of budgets here in this overview, a huge list. If you want to just focus on those that have an overrun, there's a very cool trick in the insights, and it's called conditional filtering. So let's filter out all of the budgets that will have forecasted budget usage over 100%. That means they're going to have a projected overrun. So forecasted budget usage should be over 100%. And now we're just focusing on those budgets that are predicted to have an overrun. I will click the totals just to show you how accurate this is. Okay. This is a great trick for any report that has massive amount of data, right? If it's a huge report with tons of budgets and projects, you can use basically any of the fields here to filter on it. Like for example, let's check those who have forecasted budget usage over 100% and a forecasted profit, which is less than $0. Okay. Okay, so there's just 3 on which it's projected that we're going to lose money and we have an overrun, right? So that's a very powerful tool at your disposal, let's say. So it's very good basically to find the key things that you're looking for when you have a large amount of data. So these are the things that we need to solve first because they're both unprofitable and we'll go over the budget. And it's great how you can put different things here in fields and just compare stuff to get a broader picture, because sometimes things are not as tragic when you compare 2 or 3 things together to get a full picture of what's happening.